Hi everyone. How are you doing today?
Hey guys, good. I was going to say good morning, good evening, wherever everyone
Yeah,
is. Great to be
yeah,
here.
whatever. I think we cover all
Hi everyone.
all zones. Hi. So, Timothea, is that right? Do I
Yes, that's right.
pronounce right your name? Okay.
Yes,
Uh,
congratulations. You're one of the few that does.
Woohoo! Okay. I'm Victor. Thank you for joining us today. For everyone who's listening, our guests today are from FORE Protocol. And we will be talking about oracles, predictions, markets, stuff like that. But let's make sure that we're ready first. Timothea, you had one more colleague that is supposed to join us. Is that right?
Yes, I can see him right next to me, Andres AS. He's got the FORE logo, but I think he's just getting set up as a speaker. So if you guys could send him a
Yes,
speaker,
just
that would be awesome.
I'm not sure I see his account, his yes, okay. Requested to speak. Add a
Yes,
speaker. Okay.
awesome.
Connecting. We should be ready in a bit. So for everyone listening, I want
Hey
to
guys.
remind you that as usual, hi Andres or Andres.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hey,
Thank you
glad
for
it's
joining
working.
us. How are you doing?
All great. How is everyone else doing? Thank you for having us today. It's our honor. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I'm good. Hope everyone is excited and good as well. To people listening, don't forget to leave your messages as comments to this space. We do it as usual. You have a purple button on the right hand side in the lower part of your phone. Just press that button, leave your question. We'll see, maybe we'll take some live questions from the audience as well. Yeah, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I think we can start. Firstly, thank you guys for joining us. Hope we will have a nice and interesting conversation about the FORE protocol today. Uh, let's firstly start by talking about yourselves a little bit. Uh, who are you? What are you doing? How did you get into crypto? How much money did you lose? Stuff like that.
Oh, we could be here a long time.
Only the
I'll
spicy stuff,
yeah, I'll start off. I've
please.
been chatting with some of the community members in Telegram already today, so I'm really glad to be here and speak with you guys on Twitter Spaces. There will be a few more opportunities. Really glad to be working with Satoshi Club in general. So yeah, looking forward to this partnership evolving and being able to interact with as many of your community as possible. So I'm
Likewise.
Timothy, and I'm one of the co-founders of FORE. My kind of by way of background, spent the majority of my career in marketing roles within fintech, mostly mobile and payments and data. But last kind of 5 years or so, I've spent within the DeFi space. So it's been a roller coaster for sure. Most recently, I was a CMO of an exchange aggregator project I was with from inception and helped get to a top 100 market cap project. So yeah, quite a ride. I left a year and a half ago and have been building FORE ever since. And this is a really exciting time for us. I'll touch more on FORE shortly. But yeah, this is, we're just, after having spent a year and a half building, we're just about to get to just about to launch the token and our mainnet. So great time for everyone here to be getting involved in FORE.
Yeah. End of bear markets are the best times to start a project.
Yeah,
From
exactly. It
yeah,
was a great chance for us to build through that time, kind of without the pressure of a bull market forcing us to launch sooner than we were ready. So really, we've been so lucky with the timing. I think the sentiment's picking back up, and I'm excited to see what the next couple of years has in store.
yeah. Usually it's like it's less noise and you can get attention easier than in the bull market. And yeah, for those who want to build, it's perfect timing, I think. Thank
Mhm.
you, Timothy. Andres, what about you? How did you get in crypto?
So
How did you get to FORE?
yeah, so I mean, it's a little bit interesting story because it all has to do with why we ended up ultimately building this project, and I think it makes sense to
Okay.
start out with, we set out to build a company that solved a specific issue, and we'll get to that. And blockchain just happened to be the technology. But my personal journey in crypto has been from the beginning. I think we've all been through the swings and the ups and downs. But it's what drives us as innovators and as tastemakers, and trying to do something different and unique in the space and something with actual value. And I think that's really what drives the team at FORE. And yeah, like I said, it's an exciting time. Timothy touched on that already, but we're all excited to see what the future brings for this project.
Cool. What about the past? What did you do before that?
So
Before FORE?
yeah, I've had a vast history in building large corporations and in emerging markets. And so I've worked down in the Far East in many different countries, including Singapore, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Hong Kong, and really building businesses in those emerging markets. So really, my background is in operations and growing companies.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I think crypto and blockchain needs a lot more of people with experience in real world, let's say, businesses, and with experience in operations and doing stuff, really, not just talking about doing stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's been one of our ethos as a company is doing the right things, and building a real company out, not just saying, oh, I want to build a token or I want to build a meme coin. It was always about solving the problem first, and that was to create a truly decentralized peer-to-peer predictions market. And in order to do that, we set out goals and operated like a regular startup would. And I think that was the real advantage to us. So I agree with you.
Okay, thank you, Andres. So you said earlier that you as a team started this project with having an issue in mind that you wanted to solve. What is that issue?
Yeah, I can jump in here.
Go for that.
Yeah. So the concept, we're actually missing one of our other co-founders on the call, though I can see he's listening. So the concept behind FORE actually began as a Web2 sportsbook. So Merv, or one of our co-founders, initially wanted to saw an opportunity to offer preferable odds to users via machine learning and analytics to come up with better pricing. But as the conversations evolved, as the three of us started kind of working together on this concept, we realized that the core problem was centralization, not just pricing. So we pivoted from that.
Why was that the core issue, centralization?
Well, so a great question. I think if you take the prediction market in general, the concept, the kind of perception of it is inherently is pretty negative, but it's not because the action of placing a bet or taking a position on an outcome is inherently bad, but it's because of the incentive structures that these centralized entities have in place to really exploit as much as they can from the users, whether it's the hidden fee structures or odds actively set against the user. There's a reason why there's the saying, the house always wins, right? And that's because the house creates these structures in order for them to make sure that they, at the end of the day, are always profiting. So that is what we realized, that these centralized entities are the ones who are tarnishing a space that, even though they are trying to exploit users as much as possible, it's growing significantly. Even through a recession, the online betting market reached $80 billion last year and is expected to reach $134 billion by 2028. So people still want to take positions on outcomes. What we wanted to do was, and what we have done, is decentralize this industry to shift the power away from the centralized entities and create an opportunity for everyone to take part and share in the rewards. Because ultimately, if you take look at what a predictions ecosystem, prediction market is, it's based on its value is from the wisdom of the crowd, right? It's only as valuable as its participants. So but as much as we're all aware of that, the participants haven't actually shared in the value of those predictions market up until now, which is what what we're building is an entirely people powered ecosystem where users create the markets themselves, so essentially become the bookmaker. They participate in markets against each other, so there's no house that if for FORE it doesn't matter whether someone wins or loses because they're playing against each other. And then we also the validation process itself is entirely decentralized rather than using
validation of what?
Of the market outcomes. So
Okay.
in order to have an entirely people powered ecosystem where where it's running in a decentralized way end to end, you need to have people validating the market outcomes to make sure that when someone said Man U versus Bayern Munich, for example, let's say people participated, yes, you need someone to validate that actually occurred, so to ensure that accurate payout for the participants. So we've created this NFT validation model, and we can kind of touch on the specifics of how that works later, but essentially everyone is rewarded for their participation in this ecosystem, and it becomes this like self-contained but self-evolving ecosystem where everyone everyone benefits from its growth.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we can get a little bit more specific on how, for example, a person could participate in this, because like the core value and the core message is clear, like prediction platform, decentralized, that's pretty clear, but the specifics are not very clear, at least not for me. For example, if I want to create a new market, what should I do? How should I do it? Like a roadmap or like a tutorial for a person that's hearing this for the first time.
Andres, you want to jump in, or I can happily take that?
Yeah.
Conscious I was going off on the last one.
You're already there, but I'm happy for you to take it, but I'm happy to help out as well.
Cool. Well, yeah, I'll jump in. I just don't want to take up all the airspace. But essentially, we've got three roles on the platform. It's the creator, the player, and the analyst. So if you wanted to create a market on how many people will be in the Satoshi and FORE AMA, you literally, you go to FORE, you connect your wallet, you have to have a small amount of FORE in to pay the FORE market creation fee. And you would just put in the specific details. So you'd have a market prompt, and we have guides on how to optimize your market creation to make sure that you can have as much participation in it as possible. So you'd have the market prompt. You'd set a description. You would say will the number of participants reach 400 people, and then you would have like the resolution terms. So if it does not reach 400 people, the market will resolve to no. If it reaches over, the market resolves to yes. You'd set the end market time to allow the people to participate in the market, and then the start of the validation time, which needs to really occur after the event has ended. And that's it really. You would include a link for a validation source so that the analysts could actually verify the outcome and see what happened. And it's as simple as that. You then have
the analysts are the group that is doing the verification of the results.
Yes, exactly. So the creator creates the market, and they're actually this is my favorite part of the model is and what I think one, it enables anyone to create a market on anything, but two, because we're rewarding them with 0.5% of the total market size, they are incentivized to market their market. So if you think about the opportunities for like a sports personality or a kind of a betting influencer on Twitter or YouTube, they can start making markets on what they think is going to occur, and then can monetize their audience further by driving people to these markets. So they win, and we as a protocol have more participation. So that for me is a really kind of exciting part about what we've built.
Okay, that's interesting. But for example, if I create like a market for a no-name football team that is playing in my home city, how are the odds created for this low level or low visibility sport events, for example?
Good question. Yeah. So, well, firstly, the odds are determined initially by you as the creator. So you can add liquidity to the market or choose not to, but you're more likely to gain participation by setting those initial odds. So you could set it either as 50-50, or whatever you choose. And then for in terms of the validation for something like that, as long as there is a link to show that some source of truth somewhere on the internet, could be your local newspaper saying that this team beat the other team, then that market's able to be validated.
So the odds are chosen by the creator. The analysts just make sure that the event happened, and
so
the results.
The odds are initially determined by the creator, but the odds are actually started by the creator, but the final odds are determined by the participation. What that means is the number of people who've taken a position on each side. So you get it's closer to what the kind of market view of an event actually occurring is. So you're rather than us determining or any one entity determining what those odds are, it's based on their market determined odds, basically.
Yeah, it's more of a player consensus by the end. So you have like a consensus on the market, and that shifts depending on the participation and obviously the weight of the amount of participation. But that's very well explained.
Yeah, that's clear. Thank you. And what about the analysts? Did you take into consideration? I mean, I'm sure you took it into consideration, but how did you solve the issue of, for example, maybe creators and analysts communicating and trying to influence the market so that they create a false event, or they try to fraud and manipulate the results?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we spend a lot of time working on this because we're constantly solving for trying to think of every single bad action that someone could take on the protocol, and the inaccurate validation is one of them. What we've built is an asymmetric validation model. So the validation process itself, in order to become a validator, you have to basically you mint an analyst NFT, and in doing so you're locking 1,000 FORE into that NFT, which is then burnt, and we can touch on the deflationary element of FORE itself later. But so they're initially locking that amount of FORE into their NFT, and then they can level up their NFT through multiple consecutive validations. And when I say asymmetric kind of incentive model, the risk of inaccurate validation is far greater and far outweighs the benefit that you could get from, even if it's for some reason this got through our pretty stringent or very stringent kind of dispute mechanism that we have in place. So the analysts all have to agree on one outcome. Anyone can raise a dispute on the market if they disagree with how the market was validated. Then we have decentralized network of top tier validators, and then finally that goes to the high guard, and we're also looking at implementing an additional third party review for that market resolution when a dispute is raised as well.
Okay, and all these steps are decentralized and purely created from community of FORE protocol.
Yes, exactly. Initially for our testnet, we did have the high guard was controlled by the team, just because we wanted to see exactly where the points of failure were, why markets were being disputed. So it was important for us to manage that process. But the purpose of this is an entirely decentralized ecosystem. So that process will be run by the community itself. Okay. And I think that's just another point to add to that as well is that is what separates us from being a predictions market. As much as people do refer to us that way, sometimes we're actually a prediction protocol, because we're not creating markets, we're not participating in markets, and we're not validating markets. We've simply created the smart contracts for users, the community, to do so.
Cool. Thank you. I want to take one question from the community. We have a question from Ivan. So One thing I read about FORE is that it will have foresight, business intelligence application, but I can't find any more information on this topic. Could you tell me more about it and what is included in the foresight app? More information about this functionality, or how
Mhm.
should I put it?
Yeah, great question. So what Ivan is referring to, and I'll just kind of take a step back here because we focus so much on the predictions element, and that's actually for Predict, which is our first decentralized application on the protocol. But taking a step back at the protocol level, FORE exists to incentivize the wisdom of the crowd to bring real-world data to the blockchain. So we are building the architecture for a number of Web3 solutions that remove friction from these centralized industries, prediction markets being one of them, and obviously our first, the first sector that we're moving into. But we're also, in our roadmap for 2024, building out, we want to expand horizontally as well. So identifying industries or sectors that are ripe for decentralization, and also that we can leverage the community in order to do so. So we have, we're building out our first B2B kind of solution would be for Oracle, which in the analyst function, we essentially are already creating a decentralized Oracle, and it's then how we can package that into a kind of market-ready solution for entities, which really could cover any type of industry, providing there is some sort of market on that industry in the within the predictions ecosystem. But then all of this data, everything that's kind of going through FORE Predict, will ultimately identify trends and behaviors in different sectors that we can then start kind of aggregating and providing that insight to different entities and really help them understand their audiences, their businesses, and predicting trends that will occur ahead of time as well. So that's kind of what the foresight solution will be focused on.
So this is more of a business to business type of I mean, the usability of it is for businesses. And will this part be decentralized as well, or will this be like a business aside from FORE protocol?
So it basically how the way that we think about it and the way that we set out the different kind of applications built on FORE is the applications using the infrastructure, and then the applications using the data that is collected and aggregated via the infrastructure, so via FORE Predict. So clear one for that would be the Oracle, but also so it's built on FORE's infrastructure as well as the data that's generated via the activity on FORE. So it's kind of FORE squared is a working title, the way that we're referring to those kind of products.
Okay, yeah, it's a lot of things that you have in. I mean,
yeah. Well,
it sounds very complex and a lot of layers and a lot of different parts.
Yeah, well, ultimately we spent because we have always been product first. So we spent the last year building our MVP, bootstrapped entirely for us as founders, because we didn't want to come to market until we actually had something tangible. Because I think in a bear market, people have been they're so wary, right? And I personally, all of us in the team really have been affected by projects who've promised the world and delivered nothing. But because we were so focused on building, we at first we kind of didn't really see the opportunity for scaling the technology that we'd already built beyond predictions. And over the course of the kind of back of last year, conversations we started having with big, we can't reference who's intense partnerships, but big named third parties, both in blockchain and kind of real world conglomerate space, started seeing like the cog started turning for how we can use what we've already built and scale that into multiple different sectors beyond predictions. So FORE Predict, this app is ultimately our first kind of case study to show that this entirely kind of people-powered ecosystem works. We've already seen that through our testnet, and I'm really excited to build and launch for mainnets for mainnet, and then scale that into other sectors as well.
Okay, sounds good. Let's talk a little bit about the team, because we know that maybe in this domain, the team a lot of times is even more important than the idea behind, because good teams tend to pivot and tend to adapt faster, but even if a bad team has a great idea, they might not be able to implement it. And maybe in the blockchain industry, this is more visible than in other industries as well. Tell me a little bit about you guys. I mean, not you personally, but the team. Where are you based? How big is the team? Stuff like that. Something that you can share.
Timothy, I'm happy to jump in. And I know we've got probably one or two team members listening in as well, so I'll try and do a really great job at describing where we are.
Hello to everyone from FORE Protocol team.
We're really a global team, and we really pride ourselves on having this international feel to the team, because I think it adds a lot of value in terms of unique opinions. But Timothy, based in the Far East with me as well. We have a team in Europe. We've got and in South America as well. So really a global team. In terms of specialties, I should say, we've managed to recruit a team of we have a data analytics sort of department that stretches throughout the organization, so helps supports the different areas in terms of marketing in Timothea's team. But also stretches and touches the product and how we analyze the usage of the product. And so really the data and operations, and how we work and how we can improve our efficiency. And so really the data analytics function, which is headed up with a team of 3 people at the moment, work throughout our operations. And it's a part of the company that we're really particularly proud of. With the product side, what we've done is we assembled a team that built us our MVP, and we have a top CTO that has been involved in many projects, both with Timothea and in similar projects in the past, but also his own. And he's really been our driving force in bringing the MVP to our public launch, and a product that we're really proud to bring to you in just a little time, hopefully. And so that's really how we have structured our operations so far. But I'll just pause there and see if you have any further questions on that.
No, thank you for the answer. It's pretty straightforward, and it's international. It is like a lot of teams in this space here.
Yeah, I think it's interesting arranging team calls, but I think what I value so much about our team is, despite the fact that we have such diverse backgrounds, we've got people from Axie Infinity alongside people from kind of lead engineers at Boeing. But despite this kind of difference in backgrounds and demographics, the one thing that really ties us together is our value system, and that is something that was really important for me and the other co-founders to build. Going forward, because you can teach skills, but you can't teach values. And so for us,
and what are the values?
So really, thinking about what's important for us is decentralization, is actually putting the customer first, is understanding the user, is transparency, is honesty. And I've worked with enough companies in the space where that is not their kind of leading MO, for sure. So it was really important for all of us, where we can be transparent internally, be really honest with each other, and break down points, and so that we can get to our collective goal. But that transparency extends as well to our community and our partners, because I think there's we've all been in a position as investors in the space, I think, where the most frustrating thing is not necessarily delays. It's not issues, it's the lack of transparency from a team and the lack of visibility into what's going on. So for us, we really strive to be as transparent as possible, and we also being very kind of feedback led. Again, internally and externally, we built our MVP alongside our community members. We integrated new market structures, new chains based on user demand, and we will continue to iterate with that kind of in mind. Because if you're not building for your user, why are you building? What's the point?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's take one more question from the community. We have one question from the user Abdul Rahim BNB Pizza. I don't know his username. What is the difference between market maker in FORE protocol and liquidity providers in other checks, DEXs? Did market makers in FORE protocol have any other specific features than liquidity providers?
That's a great question. And that's also something that was important for us when we were building out this creator model, because looking at other DeFi prediction markets and why they may not have taken off is because of the risks associated with the creator essentially also being a liquidity provider. And with that, you run the risk of impermanent loss and various other things. What we've done with our creator model is, as I mentioned, you can put liquidity in that market yourself when you create a market, but you don't have to. So essentially, you can just think of an idea, make a market, and you're not risking anything on that market creation. And what you gain from that is all profit without anything being taken away. And then we don't view our players as like liquidity providers in the same sense. They are just waging or taking a position on an outcome. If that outcome is successful, they win, a percentage of the total winning pot. If they don't, they don't. It's as simple as that.
Okay. Hopefully it's clear for Abdul as well. If you have some follow-up questions, Abdul, just reply to your tweet and we'll make sure to address it. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the legal side of what you guys are doing, because from how I understood and what we discussed today, what you're doing is highly regulated in a lot of jurisdictions, and you for sure thought about this, and it's interesting for me to hear what are your solutions and how do you intend to handle this part.
Oh yeah, I'll let Andres. It's been like probably a huge focus of his over the last year.
I mean,
so many calls.
The crypto side and the betting, booking. This is a domain that is not crypto but is highly regulated as well. And I guess if you mix them two together, it can be easier, just more complex and more complicated. So please, Andres.
Sure. So I try and tackle this in sort of two parts, and I think the first side of things is as a team we set out from the very onset to do everything the correct way, and have spared no cost in legal opinions and legal help, legal advice. We have a legal advisor who worked with Allen and Overy, one of the biggest law firms in the world, for many years, and he's been advising us from sort of day one. We've also contracted a law firm, which I can't mention at the name at the moment, but they are advising us and basically are partners throughout the launch and beyond. And so, having said that, we have taken every step to make sure that what we are doing is in this area where it's not the same regulation as, let's say, traditional gaming or traditional gambling. And one of the main reasons for that is because we're not a house. And I'll take a step back to where we started with this creation model. Is quite often when you have crypto casinos or crypto gambling, is you're still having this central entity behind the company that is essentially taking your bet on the other side and has created these odds for you. With us, the company, the FORE protocol, is simply a host for two people to enter into an agreement. And then a third person can enter in that agreement, and the fourth person, and so on and so forth. And so really, there is no central entity that is being a casino in this sense. And therefore, it is not gambling. It's essentially just two people entering in a wager. And so this is a much different sort of regulated space, and it doesn't fall under the same legal sort of definition of gambling. That being said, our legal team is heavy on this sort of train, and we're looking for every solution to make sure that we stay in the green legal area.
And for example, if I create a new market, does this make me kind of a casino because I'm actually creating a bet, and I'm taking bets on this?
So let's just say you wanted to create a market on Manchester United soccer.
I mean, how is this different than me taking a pen and a piece of paper and just taking bets on the corner of the street where I live?
Well, so in theory, this there's no difference because right now all you're doing is expressing your view. You're saying, I think Man United is going to beat Chelsea, let's say by 2 goals, and I think you're wrong. And so if you put 50, let's say you put $100 in, and you say, I want to make it interesting, because if what incentivizes you to put money and liquidity in your initial market is because, like, let's say you and I had a bet, and you said, I'll bet you Man United loses. And I said, okay, how much you want to bet? And you said nothing. That's the equivalent of you putting no liquidity in a market that you create. So if you create a market and you put $100 and you want to weight it, let's say 80-20, and then I come in and I also put $100, but I put the opposite as you, that then the odds equalize, right? And then someone else will jump in, and that will again change what those odds are, or that participation or that consensus is. But there's really no difference, because all you're doing is saying, I would like to put this market out there on our platform, and then you're having other people participate in it. But there's no casino involved in that, right?
Yeah, that's interesting, actually, and I'm very curious to see how you guys will handle it, because from how I see it, I mean, if for me it's illegal to take a pen and a paper and just take bets on the street, then I mean, I'm not a casino, but I'm doing bets, so that's the interesting part in seeing how you handle. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm no lawyer, so I'm just discussing idea, and it's interesting just to hear your thoughts on that. I'm sure we'll see your solution soon enough. Okay,
Absolutely.
let's take one more question. We have a question from Chucky. Okay, on the FORE protocol platform, when analysts invalidate the market, their NFTs get burned. Is this a deflationary mechanism for the NFTs and token? And what is the reason behind taking away NFTs for a mistake made? And we kind of touched upon that with Timothea, but maybe we can add more context.
Yeah, so I'll take a step back and talk about the kind of the deflationary element of FORE mechanisms in place in general. So again, another thing we noticed, I mean, we spend a lot of time looking at other prediction markets, both decentralized and centralized, and particularly the decentralized ones, why they didn't take off. Part of it was their incredibly inflationary tokenomics. If you are incentivizing users to participate, to earn tokens, but those tokens are, you have awful tokenomics, that kind of supersedes any kind of value that you would have been creating anyway. So what we set out to do was build into pretty much every function of the protocol this deflationary mechanism. I know people talk about burning all the time, but often it's just done arbitrarily as these kind of gimmicky burn events, right? And they typically just benefit the team or the founders. What we wanted to do and what we have done is build this into every single market that's created. So 1% of every market that is created is burned, permanently removed from circulation. And 100% of what's locked into the NFTs, 1,000 FORE, when they're minted, is also burned. So the reason now to circle back to his question, the reason we burn those NFTs on incorrect validation is not because of the deflationary mechanisms themselves, because that FORE is already burnt on mint. But it is to, tying back to what we were talking about earlier, those, the asymmetric incentive models. If someone has a really high risk of losing all of the FORE that they've built from fraudulent activity, they're going to think twice before they try and, fraud the system, essentially. That's not that we do have a dispute resolution system in place. So if there was a matter of inaccurate validation because of some lack of clarity on the market creation, we will work through that. So we're not just automatic burn of NFTs. Obviously, we want to. We understand that there will be user error as well. So that's what the dispute mechanism is for, or the dispute resolution system is for. But essentially, it's to make sure that what's the value of a predictions ecosystem. If you go on and you were supposed to win a market, and then that market's incorrectly validated and you lost it. For us, we're not going to be able to build a viable product or a viable user base unless we have a really high degree of accuracy of results. So that's why there's a kind of high penalty on behavior like that.
Okay, so it's less of a deflationary mechanism and more of assuring that the analysts do their job.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's an incentive. It's an incentive. An incentive is a great way to look at it, because you're incentivized to do the right thing. You're incentivized to do to validate correctly, and then, like Timothy had touched on, you can do consecutive validations, and then we have different tiers of your NFT that get upgraded as you validate consecutively. And with those tiers, we'll have real world rewards tied to them. So the incentive is to act correctly, and like Timothy mentioned, the penalty is the burn of the NFT.
Yeah, done correctly, the validation model can be incredibly lucrative for users. The validators get 2% of the total market share between them, and they are rewarded that share based on their power, which is what's accrued in the NFT based on consecutive validations. So really, it's a model that benefits early adopters. The tier structures that we have for validators on day one will likely change over time, because if we have 4 tiers, right? We have blue, silver, gold, and black. If everyone has a black NFT for validation, it doesn't really create value for that black NFT. So we will be making it harder to reach that top tier over time, as most kind of models tend to do. But that's really incentivizes day one validation to kind of lock in those those easier to achieve or obtain tiers.
Okay, thank you. We have 2 more questions from the community, and then I have 1 more question. I think we can wrap it up. We have a question from Miriam Moses. FORE intend to gamify decentralized predictions by bringing play to earn to betting. Can you tell us more how this will help users and bring adoption? Yeah, maybe we can touch upon play to earn mechanism that you intend to use in general.
Yeah, well, firstly, I think, again, looking at the people who have gone before us, if you look at casinos, for example, they've perfected the art of gamifying predictions, and the knock-on effect of that is they extend participation. They work out exactly how to keep people on their how to keep people in their casinos for as long as possible. And it's not just financial drivers. It's not just potential winnings. There's a number of innate psychological drivers beyond money alone. Need for entertainment, status, reputation. So the more of these needs we can address, the more time and activity we can really cultivate from users. So the tiered NFTs are one element of gamification.
Okay.
Which based on social comparison theory, the way people evaluate their opinions of themselves, how they compare to others. So for them, achieving the highest tier of a program, you even see it on Discord rankings and things like that, right? People compete for that number one spot, even when there's no real inherent value of it, because it's part of the status and the reputation.
It's like Monopoly. Everyone wants to win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everyone's always asking in Discord, like, well, what role can I get? And it's like the role may not have a financial lever or financial incentive, but it has a social incentive. So that the tiered NFT is one element. Also leaderboards. So you can see the highest number, the kind of the top validators, the top analysts, top creators. So you're trying to climb up to that number one spot. And we're also going to be releasing later this year kind of like a season, different seasons where people can earn badges. So that will tie into our sponsorship with kind of real world partners. So for example, you could have a particular sport season and all markets that you participate in on that particular sport, you earn a badge. That badge increases your multiplier effect. So there's a ton of different.
So it's not only social. I mean, some elements of a play to earn techniques, let's say, will get you like more returns and more advantage.
Yeah,
because
the NFTs,
I was under the impression that it's all social.
No, I think you need to tick pretty much all of those boxes, right? Understanding what those psychological drivers are. One of which is financial. So the NFT tiers, for blue you have a 1x multiplier. For silver you have a 1.1, and then it continues to grow from there. So yeah, there's status, but there's also a real return for participating.
Yeah, I think it works perfectly together. I mean, when you take only one of the two, something is missing, but together they're really powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you. We have the last question from the community. It's a question from Queen NFT Tray 101 with her handle. You didn't mention anything about security and audits. Can you tell us what audits have been done and what plans do you have regarding future audits? What other security steps have been taken to increase the investors' confidence in FORE ecosystem? And given the fact that you're building like an infrastructure, I think this question is pretty important because we've seen a lot of vulnerabilities in infrastructure projects that led to people losing money or losing confidence in the project, stuff like that.
Yeah, I can take that one, Timothy. I think that's a great question. Security and safety is something we as a team have talked about since the beginning. It's been one of our priorities. Obviously, its audits are quite expensive. And so we've built the product first, and we're going through the process of having the audit now ongoing. We've signed confidentiality agreements with our suppliers, so we can't put that out yet. But I can tell you that process is ongoing as we speak.
It makes sense to build the product first because you need something to audit. If you don't have a product, what's there to be audited?
No, and I want to be clear. It's both the token audit because that's separate, and then there's the product audit, right?
Yeah,
and sense. So we're going to be ticking the whole, having the total coverage. Want to make sure we cover all our bases.
When do you approximate for this information to be available? Maybe someone is interested.
Probably by the end of this month.
By the end of June. June. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That was the last question from the community. I think it's pretty straightforward. The question from me that I still wanted to touch upon is regarding some, for example, like classical betting websites, or I mean everything that involves betting, have some elements or some information about making sure that they inform people that this might cause some addiction, or some way in which they help people with mental problems that have like a real problem with these types of activities, and that makes them harmful for their livelihood. Uh, did you think about this stuff and took it into consideration as well? Like, how will people use your platform, and if this platform is not good for them, how will you help them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can jump in on this one. And so, while we are building a prediction platform that again doesn't have the same incentive models as the centralized entities do to extract value from users, for us, it's players playing against each other. We still understand the space in which we exist. We still understand the the kind of triggers that can be caused. So we are working on from our foundation fund, working with various charities in the space to create awareness of, and also help kind of offset some of that the risk, because as I said, you can create the safest, most trustworthy, most transparent platform, but ultimately those people can still be affected by those that activity. So we want to be conscious of that, and we are working on that. So we'll share more details in due course.
Okay.
Yeah, just want to add as well, it's also why
Please.
we have that validation model, because it also allows you, in a sense, to participate on more of a passive side. And so it's not just betting against other people or participating more against other people, right? You can also be collecting this semi-passive income by being a validator. And so there's also two sides of the protocol. But yeah, absolutely, Timothy is correct in that we've thought heavily about the impact. And obviously, besides the legal terms and conditions for the website, there'll be an acknowledgement when you enter the app for the first time.
Okay. Okay. Thank you guys for your time. It was very interesting. From my side, this is it. If you want to share the last message with our community, or do you want to transmit a message or something like that, now is the time to do it.
Yeah, cool. Well, firstly, just thank you guys. Really appreciate all your time. Just wanted to let your community know that while FORE's token will be trading and live on June 30th, we do have an opportunity for community members to get involved in our public sale ahead of then. So if you want to head to our website, foreprotocol.io, you can find all the details there with the kind of the buttons saying whitelist, public sale whitelist. So if you liked what you heard today and want to get involved kind of more deeply with FORE, check us out, and also join us on our social channels. We'd love to continue the conversation with you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks very much, everyone. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you, Timothy. Thank you, Andres. So guys, foreprotocol.io, it's on the first page, all the information that you might want to know. For the winners, please don't forget to reply to your question with your address so that we can send you the rewards. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day, and see you around. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. Chat soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheers, everyone.